Hi everyone, I'm Peter Nowlin here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Yes, the same Peter Nowlin who did the Knife Planet videos. But things have changed a little bit. I've adjusted a few things, so I just wanted to update the sharpening videos. Doesn't mean that anything on Knife Planet is no longer valid or anything. It's nothing like that at all. It's just that I've made a couple of mindset changes to my sharpening. That's the beauty of knife sharpening. You're always learning and you're always trying new things and experimenting. You're making mistakes. Well, I do anyway. Make lots of mistakes and just try to learn from them. So here we go. So today I'm going to show you exactly how I sharpen a knife. I'm going to use 3 water stones to do that, and I'm going to use a leather strop and some water and this and we're going to get going. I'm going to and I've just got this knife that a customer gave me. I've never seen one before. It's called Triple Tree. It's stainless steel, and I've painted the edge with a Sharpie so I can match the edge, match the angle as I go along. So let's get started. So I'll explain things as what's changed, if anything, as we move along. First of all, I'm going to use 3 flat stones. The first one is a Nanohone. These are relatively new stones. This is a 70 micron, 200 grit range. It's one of the best coarse stones below 400 grit that I've ever used. It's one of the best coarse stones I've ever used, total. And very easy to maintain, so I'm going to start with that knife, with that water stone. So, the big change for me is that I used to use 4 levels of pressure, which I still do, but in my mind, I was thinking that when I shifted from a coarse stone to a 1000 grit stone, for example, I was shifting going down to 3 levels of pressure because I didn't want to form additional burrs. The gifted one, John Broider, explained some things, and I learned something from somebody else too, that it's okay to do that. You can make you can form a primary burr on your core stone, your first stone that you use, or the first stone that you use, and you can form additional micro burrs on any subsequent stones. And the reason you do that, and the reason I've found it really good, is that it's going to improve that you're hitting the edge of the edge. So your goal, your target, is always the edge of this knife, and your goal is always to bring side A and side B of the knife together as precisely as you possibly can, as your skills allow, at the apex of the knife. If you can do that, your knife is going to be sharp. It's inevitable, because we're using the abrasive powers of these stones. We're going to sharpen it at an angle, and I'm going to try to match this angle. I'm going to try it at about 16 degrees, which is my pinky angle in here. And my goal, as you sharpen, is to maintain consistency, is to take charge of this area between the spine of the knife and the surface of the stone. If you own that, you're going to be in sharpening heaven. So it just takes muscle memory. So let's get started. I've never sharpened like this knife before, so I don't know how it's going to react to the abrasives, but I'm going to start. I always start at the tip. And my elbow's up a little tiny bit. And then I'm going to move using pressure with my 2 fingers here, applying pressure as I move the knife away from me, from the bottom of the stone closest to me to the top of the stone. So pressure, no pressure, pressure, no pressure. Then I'm going to lower my elbow down so it's just hanging naturally. And I'm just going to apply a little pressure here with the stone. I'm going to see that I can see that the markers, the Sharpie's all gone, so I'm pretty much at the right angle. And I've already formed a burr here. That's this core stone. So obviously the knife steel isn't too abrasive resistant. So if you can use both hands, you can shift at this time. If you can't, you just use one hand, your dominant hand. You go up to the top. Then I start at the top of the stone, the furthest away from me. I find my angle and I pull the knife towards me, applying pressure as I do so. I'm using trailing strokes, so I'm applying pressure. I've got an additional finger in here to apply pressure at the heel area. The heel's a tricky spot to get. So pressure, no pressure. And making sure that the tip of that knife is in contact with that stone. So I can feel a burr there. So all I'm going to do now, start again, but now I'm going to do another very important thing here. So burr, when we speak about burrs, we talk about burr formation, burr detection, and then burr removal. So I'm in the burr removal stage now. I'm going to reduce pressure by about 50%. As I continue to remove the burr, I'm going to use diminishing levels of pressure. So I'm going to drop down one more level here. Another 50, very, very light here. Then the last finally. So I think I'm done with this stone, and I'm just dipping the knife in water over there so I don't scratch the blade when I wipe it off. So now what I'm going to do is conduct this light check, and this isn't something I've invented. It's something I just started doing. I'm pretty a lot of people smarter than I did were doing this all the time. But so what I'm doing is looking for any hint of light, anything. I don't want to be able to see any light here at all. So if I saw little glints of light, that would mean there's a little bits of metal that I've yet to clean off on the edge, not on the over, has moved over from the apex of the knife, so I'd have to remove that, and that I do that. So that's something I've changed. So if I had to do that, I just go back to the stone and I'd do it again, and I'd do the same thing like that again, and then I'd make sure that I'd look at it again very carefully. Sometimes it's hard to see. You have to really scrutinize the edge to look for light, and you'll see it when it's obvious. So there's nothing there. By now, just following this process, your knife is going to be very sharp. Some telephone book paper. It's not trick telephone book paper or anything. Can you get trick telephone book paper? I don't know. But anyway, so it should be sharp enough to get through this nicely. So that's just on the 200 grit stone. So I'm going to move now. I'm satisfied that I've finished my work on the coarse stone. I'm going to move now to the wondrous 1000 grit Nanowatt. Almost every knife I sharpen sees a 1000 grit stone. It's a great stone to have in your collection. So here we go again. This time I'm going to still use 4 levels of pressure, but I've just reduced it a little bit. Now I want to form micro burrs. I formed the initial burr on the 200 grit stone. I want to form micro burrs on this stone, which will show me that I'm hitting the edge of the edge. I can feel a little burr there, right? All the way. Beautiful little burr. Going to find my angle here. I'm applying pressure as I pull the knife towards me and releasing as I let it go. As I push up. So pressure, no pressure. Pressure, no pressure. I'm going to reduce pressure now by about 50%. I'm not counting my strokes, but I have a rhythm here. I'll never count strokes. It's boring. It tends to automate a process that shouldn't be automated. Again, another reduction in pressure as I continue to clean the edge. Everything looks good. I can't see any light. Look good. I'm going to shift now to my finishing stone for this, which I'll use a Nanawa Ayatoshi 2000. That was an Atoma 140 that I was using there. So, reduce pressure here again. I'm just going to go from tip to heel, heel to tip with my fingers. Again, if you can switch sides, just to show you what it would be, it's the same thing. Then finally, absolutely feather-light touch. And to finish it off, clean the edge, just these stropping motions. If you go like this, cool. By now the knife should be very sharp. Some more of this trick paper. It might shave hair. Yeah, so hair's popping off there. So again, this folks isn't a demonstration of my sharpening skill. I don't care about that. I'm just going to show you how I sharpen a knife. And it's not the only way to sharpen a knife, of course, but it's just how I do it. And the reason I do this is because I really enjoy sharpening, and also I get a lot of emails and questions on Instagram and emails all the time about sharpening, so maybe this will help somebody. So the final step for me would take this this leather strop, and this is just a leather strop loaded with the green paste, the chromium oxide. So I'm sharpening it, I'm stropping at very light pressure at the same angle that I sharpened with. And believe me, this just gives the final icing on the cake, so to speak. And that's all there is to it. So what changed? It's a way of thinking for me that I didn't care that I'm now forming a burr, and in fact it's my goal now to form a burr on every stone, just as subtle as possible, to ensure that I'm hitting the edge of the edge, and making sure my stones are flat, and that's all. So hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, thanks for watching anyway. If you did, well, appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.